Welcome to another episode on our channel. So this is a how-to, it's going to be very long, a how-to video on customizing from beginning to end. So a lot of nitty-gritty details involved, but I wanted to start off by showing you some things that I've customized myself, starting with a concept in my head or from something I've seen. I thought I might want to try to replicate it, but in my own unique sort of way. So this is a medieval knight. I have five of them, not 10 of them, five of them, two in black outfits similar to this and three in red outfits. This is the only one that I put a cape on it. So I got the cape somewhere, I got the robe someplace else, no doubt, the chainmail someplace else, in conjunction probably with the footwear, the helmet someplace else. Jake Gyllenhaal, I'm sure I got that off the secondary eBay market, and I put them together. So this is an example of what I typically do. I'll show you a few more examples, but in our episodes, what I also like to do, if I do a character based on an actor, actress, or someone from history, I like to do a little brief bio on them because I want to do a little bit more than just show you a figure. I want to talk a little bit about who the person is or who the person represents. So this is the first one. Not the first one I've ever made as a custom, but certainly goes back in time to medieval times. For the longest time, I had one musketeer, this one here, and it didn't have the original head sculpt because it's the most god-awful looking head sculpt on the face of the planet. This outfit was made by Ignite, or a figure was made by Ignite. It's an old company, and it was one of the best outfits they ever made. And so I scarfed up that figure and hated the head sculpt, so I didn't use it. So I customized that. I eventually found two sets of clothing and pieces of a third set and customized the rest of it so he's in back, so you can't see that he's slightly different than the other two. Put a mustache on this guy. And I changed the swords out. The stand was made by my husband. Had a lot of fun with this, but I really wanted three musketeers, but it probably took me about 20, 30 years to get three. These things were definitely hard to find, these outfits. I do like to create military figures, and I've always wanted to do a Revolutionary War set. I do have three more figures, but I wanted to show you my Brit and my American. Picked up pieces here and there and eventually put these two together. So they are definitely customized, but I'm very happy with the outcomes. I have a ton of Civil War characters, Confederate and Union soldiers, but here's just one example. So we are back, and this is my World War I collection, only a part of it though. I have quite a few more figures, but I originally had a sideshow barbed wire and bayonets, the sideshow barbed wire and bayonets series. And when Dragon and Dreams, their series came out for World War I said, definitely that one's much more improved. So I got the Brit, I got the Frenchman, I got the German, and I got the American. And that's all they did, just those four countries. And as is my case, if I see a better head sculpt that comes along, I will replace head sculpts. The only one that stayed intact was the German. I liked his head, but everyone else had a head change. And they may have had additions or subtractions from their outfits and so forth. The Frenchman definitely was a head sculpt change. Like I said, Frenchman, the Brit, and the American, but with the Frenchman, I added a mustache. And then I realized, it wasn't just the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and America in World War I. It started out with Austria, Hungary, and Serbia. So I made these from scratch. Added a mustache to this guy. This one already had a mustache, so that worked. I wanted two older looking gentleman. Russia came in on the side of Serbia. Germany came in on the side of Austria-Hungary. France came in on the side of Serbia, United Kingdom, Serbia, and United States, Serbia. And then there was Bulgaria, Ottoman Empire on the other side for Austria-Hungary, and just other players. So I don't have everyone out here, but I just wanted to give you just a little taste of some things I've done on the military side. World War I. This is a small fraction of my World War II set. This is a Highland United Kingdom soldier, 2nd Armored, American soldier, Tuskegee pilot, American soldier. I have tons of World War II figures from tons of countries. Most of them were customized, highly customized figures, as these are. Some came close to what has been available in terms of package figures, but it's always more economical to try to make things if you can help it. One of my favorite Westerns is Tombstone. Now, Kurt Russell is not customized. He's a Redmond Toys figure, but everything else is customized, although the head on Val Kilmer came from either Present Toys or Redmond Toys. He's completely customized, as is the Bill Paxton figure. And as far as I know, that might be a one-of-a-kind head. I got it customized off of eBay. It was a head that was created and painted. And this head was created and painted by another, well, it was a 1/6 scale loose distributor. I put the mustache on in terms of hair, actually used some hair to complete the look. So anyway, all the Earp brothers and Doc Holliday, one of my favorite collections. The only prepackaged figure is Kurt Russell, but he was inspiration for everybody else. Since I had 5 male medieval knights, I decided to do 5 female Vikings. I do have quite a few females in my collection. You're going to only see a few of them here, but I do have quite a few. So, female Viking. I originally had 6 steampunk figures, then decided to go to 5, then decided to go to 4. At the end of this episode, you'll see the second of 2 males. I have 2 females as well. There'll be a mechanical kind of steampunk looking figure that will be the 5th piece of the set. So this is another female. So I wanted you to make sure you're not seeing all my females right now, or really it's just a fraction of my collection, the figures you've seen already, but I have quite a few females. So we'll move on to a couple more, and then we'll go into the how-to video. I have quite a collection from The Walking Dead, and even though this is a Present Toys figure, I customized him quite a bit. I put a different shirt on him, but it was his hair that I did not like. It was kind of combed back, which would be appropriate, but really scraggly. And I thought he would look so much better with bangs and have more of a sweaty look and that sort of thing. So I did change him around. I put him on a stand that created actually out of sand and little tiny pieces of stone, that sort of thing. So I think he looks rather nice. So sometimes you can take a package figure and hopefully even make it better by customizing it. Last but not least, I wanted to show you one piece or a couple pieces from my Game of Thrones collection. I have quite a collection there as well. This is, of course, Daenerys Targaryen and Viserion, one of the dragons that she had in the show. And so this has been customized. I decided to add a dragon to make it as complete as possible. Anyway, Another thing that we do in our episodes, which is a little bit different than maybe your typical 1/6 scale figure content creators, is I like to talk a lot about the actor, the actress, or the person of history, talk a little bit about them. And Amelia Clark, very interesting character. You'll see her in an upcoming episode, so hopefully you'll stay tuned and watch that. So anyway, now we'll move on to the how-to stuff. So I wanted to do a video regarding how to customize a 1/6 scale figure from beginning to end, talking about male figures and female figures, and not do it in stages, just to have one video that walks you through the process and gets into more nitty-gritty details as a result. So starting with male bodies, we'll talk about females in a bit, but male bodies, there are a variety of bodies out there, and I don't have all of them available, but in general, you'll see some of the main bodies that do exist. At the upper echelon is what used to be called FICE and now called TB League bodies. The neat thing about these bodies is that the exterior is silicone, and then there's an internal metal frame. So metal here with the neck, with the pegs on the wrists, for the wrists, and then the feet. Very durable and very, very posable. You can get any position you really want with this particular body. Lots of posability. And hopefully they will last a long time. I've had some for a number of years and no deterioration noted. I suppose it does deal a bit with how it's stored too, though. So anyway, but these will range in terms of height. You know, you can get them shorter, you can get this size, it can be a bit taller, and also in terms of body structure. So very muscular to narrow shoulders, less muscular. So structure, broad versus narrow, height, tall versus shorter, and then the color of the body from pale to suntan to African American black. So a lot of versatility here. These are going to be the most expensive bodies, but if you're going to show more skin, so to speak, in terms of the clothing for this figure or for a creation that you're making, you want to show the elbows, you want to show the knees, then the seamless body is the best way to go, because you're not getting this god-awful joint here in the elbow or the shoulders or the knees or the wherever. You know, it's pretty remarkable. It was quite a creation when they first came out. So they were formerly called FICE and they're now called TB League. Come in a variety of sizes, a variety of shapes, and a variety of skin tones. Trying to think if there's like a downside. Oftentimes the feet, the color of the feet and the hands don't match. So it's not a perfect match. So that's probably the downside with these figures. Now, if you want to kind of keep the upper body looking fairly good, here's another option. And a lot of these are not named, but if you go like on Amazon or eBay, you'll be able to find bodies like this. This comes with the neck as a piece of the torso. So the neck is not separate, it's built into the body. The upper body, the shoulders are more together and the joints are less visible here in this body. It's very muscular, comes in this kind of look, primarily this particular body. You can get it suntan or pale, that sort of thing, but that's as best as you can do. But it would still look good Not as good with the TB League body, but pretty darn good with a tank top or a short sleeve shirt, because the joints and the elbows, again, are less visible. They're still there, but they're less visible. It's more pronounced in the leg area, the knees. But most of the time we're not dressing our figures with shorts. They're almost always in pants. So unless you have a basketball player, then you're going to go with a seamless body. So anyway, this is definitely an option. I'd say the TB League is the best option in terms of seeable skin, tank tops, short sleeve shirts, that sort of thing. This is the next best thing. Another option you can go with, and this has kind of a loose arm here, is this kind of body. Again, the neck is attached, so that's good. But there's more separation, and it kind of goes down and then kind of flips up, a little rounded here. So it's not perfectly or as nicely formed as this body is. Again, there's more of a separation here with the shoulder, and this is more rounded here. And the joints are more visible. You can see the hinges here. But if you're not showing much skin, if it's a long sleeve shirt, this is nice because the neck is attached. You're not going to see a separation there. A long sleeve shirt will cover the joints here in the arms, and pants will cover the joints in the legs and so forth. And it's more economically priced. So it might be wise to go with this body at times. Now, what this is up here is what often is found in a head sculpt. So you have a head like this. There's one of these in the inside of this particular head. Now, when I put a headless, or not a headless, a neckless head on top of this body, I usually put this on first. I take that piece out of the head, put hot water on it, put it in hot water, get it onto the peg, and then put the head on top, because it seems to go on better that way. All right. So I just left this on here. That gives that head much more stability. It doesn't flop down or over, and you can move it up, down, and you can rotate it around. So this just gives the head more stability. So another body that you can use is what I call a universal body. I don't think anybody else calls it a universal body, but I call it a universal body because it's universal. So you can use it with this neck attachment, or you can take this one off and put on this neck attachment, smaller. This one is designed for heads with a neck. And if it's too loose, you can put some putty in there and stabilize it. So once you take this neck out, you put this neck in, and then you put this head on top of that neck. Or you can use this neck and use a necklace head. So this piece would then go on here, if it's not already in the head, goes here, and then the head goes on top of that. And again, that could easily fall off without this piece on it, because it goes right into the upper part of the head, and the peg snaps into place. So much more stability. So this is nice in the sense that it's versatile. So more versatility. You can use it with necklace heads or heads with necks. That's very nice. And there are more bodies out there, but this is what I wanted to show because it's a common body. It's a dragon body. It's one of the first bodies that really elevated military figures. Very high articulation to it, easy to move. You can hear it creaking, but easy to move things. Very, very, very posable and so forth. Narrow body. And it will fit a lot of clothes because it's a smaller body too. So just about anything will fit on this body. The only thing is, it will only accept sculpts that have necks. And then you usually have to secure it in, make sure the head doesn't dwarf the body, that sort of thing. So something like this would look really nice. It's a smaller head. Actually, I made the mustache on this one. And I had to fix the ear because it was broken. I got it in a lot. I just thought it was a unique head, so I thought, cool, I'll get that. So these are really older bodies, but they've held up over the years. The bad thing is you cannot take this piece out. Even though it is segmented, you take it out, it's basically broken. It's got a coiled wire in it and to hold it in place, and once you take it out, it's kind of hard to, I haven't figured out how to repair it. It's pretty much done. It comes with feet. You really can't take the feet off. It's very difficult. And then what would you replace it with? That's the hard thing. So it comes with feet. So the only types of feet that are going to work, or shoe wear that are going to work with this, are non-molded shoes or boots. So they fit over the foot. Usually takes hot water. You have to make sure that the size of the shoe is going to fit on the foot. Use hot water, slip it on. Otherwise, you try to put it on without heating anything up. It's almost impossible to get it on. But that's a downside. You can't really take the feet off. I mean, you can if you're willing to sacrifice the foot. You can cut it, pull it off. You can do that, but you're not going to get the foot back on. And typically Dragon only came with 2 hands, and these are the hands. Now these can come out, they're just a pain to get back in, but they kind of have a semi-gripping hand and like a trigger finger hand. Those are typically the hands that, and it was only 1 pair of hands, that was it. So if you want something that fits most of the clothing, all the clothing out there, it's going to be a Dragon. It's going to be harder to find clothing that fits the more muscular guys. Sometimes you'll get clothing, you go, it's a guessing game. You're going to go, that really looks good. Will it work on this guy? Because he's a little broad. Sometimes you'll get a shirt and you want to put it on here and it does not work because it's not as narrow as this one is. So lining the body up with the right types of accessories is important. How much skin you're going to use is important. And how much versatility you want is going to be important. 2 different types of heads. Sometimes it's, you try this body. If it doesn't work, you try another body. If you have a particular head you want to use. If you get something that's fully complete, that has the hands, all the neck attachments, like a universal body, that's cool. But sometimes you can get things cheaper through eBay, or especially, more so than eBay, a 1/6 scale loose distributor in the United States. If you're from the United States, you go through a 1/6 scale loose distributor, you'll find bodies that are much more economically priced because they're coming oftentimes without pegs in their feet. Sometimes they're coming without pegs in their hands or lower part of the arms, I should say. Now, it's not necessary that you have feet anymore, because what's generally happening is that makers are creating molded shoes or molded boots. So in the boot is a peg, and that peg just goes onto the foot. You step it in place. So you don't need feet anymore, depending on what kind of shoe or boot that you want to use. You don't even need feet. So that's not a big deal to not have feet. And in terms of wrist pegs, that's probably more essential. Although you can get away with a matchstick. Cut it a certain length. It'll go into the lower part of the arm and into the hand that you want to use. The only thing that you're going to sacrifice is not rotation, it's bendability. So the matchstick will allow it to turn 360 degrees, and maybe that's all you need. You don't need it to bend. You just need it to rotate. So matchstick, I have found, will work exceptionally well if you have a body that does not have a wrist peg in it. Now, can you get wrist pegs? Yes. Secondary market, eBay, or 1/6 scale loose distributors will often sell wrist pegs. Will that wrist peg fit the body you're looking at? Depends. Sometimes it's a guessing game. All right. So that's it with the bodies. We'll move on to show you a whole array of heads. And the basic difference between the heads is whether it has a neck or no neck, and the color tone. So we will be right back. So these are examples of heads with necks. Now this one, if you take this is a little, it's not stable standing up, so I had to hold it. But this has the attachment, and you wanted to use a universal body, you would take the neck out, and then this could go in. Now on the other hand, this one, if you take this piece out, I won't bother with it. It'll look good on a dragon body, because it's a smaller body and the proportions are pretty good. So this one is a smaller head, so it's going to look pretty good on a dragon body. Not that it won't look good on a universal body, but the smaller heads, oh, this one has something in it, I'd have to pull it out, but this would go, once that's pulled out, this would go very nicely on this body, because it has a shorter neck, and this is a shorter body. And then you have, this one has attachment, so again, it would probably look okay on this body if you took the attachment off, but I would probably use it on a universal body, keep this piece in, take all the neck pieces out, and just put that on there. And the tone's pretty good for this one. Then you have heads with necks. This one would have to use this particular attachment because it has a neck. Or it could go on this thing. But again, maybe you don't want to use a dragon body. Now when you get to heads, when you get to Hot Toys heads, you probably want to use a universal body. You know, this already has attachment in there, that would go in there. Obviously, you could not use any of these bodies with heads with necks. because they already have necks. Doesn't make any sense. All right. So let me pause and get some necklace heads out. And we'll be right back. We are back, and I squeezed one more necked head sculpt in so you can see that this is actually a little shorter. Now with the necklace ones, you definitely have to use, if you're going to use a universal body, you have to use this neck attachment. And this one already has one of these things in here. So that would just go on there and on a universal body. Okay. Same thing is true for this one. This one doesn't have one of these things in here. So you would either put it on the universal body with this neck, the long neck, or you would put this on first, which I tend to do, and then put the head over it and on a universal body yet again. This one has something like this in it already. So you just need this piece, put it together, and put it on a universal body. Symmetry. This one, same thing. This one already has this little thing in it. You put this piece into it and on a universal body. Or with all four of these, the other option is it can go on any one of these bodies with necks. All right, there we go. I think we talked about heads, necks. We'll pause now and we'll talk about hands. As a customizer, I like to keep things very organized. So these are basically containers my husband got from Harbor Freight for myself. And in this particular one, I keep certain items in it, and they deal with body parts. So out of this one would come, I took one out a second ago, just tons of hands. So these are all relaxed hands for right and left hands. This is closed fist hands, right and left. This is trigger finger hands, right and left. And I've got feet in here. I've got all sorts of other hands and feet. Not as many as those. But it's a nice way to keep things organized. Out of that container, I've got a container of miscellaneous hands that came out of that container. Some with fingerless gloves. Let's see if I can get you to see the whole thing. Fingerless gloves. And there's another, there's in the plastic thing, another fingerless glove thing. But they're different shades. I've got wrist pegs, tons of those. And again, just different shades in little plastic bags so that the tones are similar, darker hands, more reddish skin hands, more wrist pegs, on and on, black, on and on, black gloved hands, you know, just miscellaneous hands, basically. So I kind of keep things as organized as possible, so when I'm building a figure and I need hands, I know where to go. And I think that's very important that you have a variety of things to choose from, because some figures are not going to look good with certain hands. Some you want to have holding weapons, and relaxed hands aren't going to do it. You're going to need gripping hands. So it's nice when you have trigger finger and or gripping hands. Hands are important, and you need a variety of hands. So I can keep all those hands in there. I keep feet in here. I keep neck parts in here. I have male and female parts in there. I have a place where I put bodies. So I have a lot of body parts around the house, as I like to say every so often. So anyway, we talked about bodies. We talked about feet, how the movement now is more in terms of the direction of molded feet or molded boots, molded shoes, that sort of thing, which eliminates the need oftentimes to have pegs. But you can still get pegs. The trick is, looking out and buying the right pegs for the right body. You can get them from 1/6 scale loose distributors, eBay as well. But I prefer loose distributors in the United States because oftentimes you can buy things in bulk and get a much better price that way. Otherwise, I try to look for lots on eBay, if possible. Hand lots, feet lots, if I'm looking for feet, or shoe lots, or boot lots, or head lots, head sculpt lots. Another thing that I typically do when I want my money to stretch the furthest it can is I like to go to 1/6 scale loose distributors on the internet, such as Monkey Depot, Real Estate Toys, Black Op Toys, Toy Anxiety. There are many out there. Zerkov's Attic. And look for lots of things. So it pays versus going to eBay because number one, you're probably going to get quicker than eBay because it's going to come from China generally if you're looking for deals. Sometimes you'll really luck out and get a big lot of hands from eBay from the United States. And that's what I'll do when I'm looking at eBay. I'll look for big lots of hands, big lots of shoes, big lots of boots, big lots of head sculpts. When you can find those lots, you can oftentimes make it worth your while. Big lots of weapons. Again, those are the typical things that I'm looking for. And then I like to weather the weapons that I do get, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But otherwise, I'm looking at 1/6 scale loose distributors, and I'm looking at, getting maybe 3 pairs of hands, maybe getting 3 or 4 bodies, that sort of thing. It's harder to find lots of bodies on eBay, but with 1/6 scale loose distributors in the United States, you can see this body and maybe get 3 or 4 of them. They won't come with the pegs oftentimes, maybe wrist pegs, maybe without them, but I'm still going to get them because it's going to cost me less to make a customized figure that way. So those are some of the tricks of the trade that I use. And if I can't get wrist pegs on my bodies, I'll use the matchstick trick. As long as I don't have to bend the hand, just rotate the hand, I'm good to go with this. That'll hold it in place very nicely. So anyway, lots. Lots are good for eBay, or you can buy things, many things, not just bodies, hands, boots, shoes, get an entire package from these 1/6 scale loose distributors, and you'll probably do pretty good economically. Another thing that I do is I barter things away. For example, let's say I have a head I don't want. I do want this head. I already have one of this head, but I already have an idea of what to use this head for. But and it requires taking off this supposedly non-removable hat, which I can get off as long as I put something else on top of the head. But anyway, if I don't want this anymore, I've identified some places I can barter or get money from them. It makes more sense to barter since I'm constantly customizing to have fun. So, you know, I could have, right now I have a box of things, and I'll show you what I have in the box that I'm going to barter with a particular 1/6 scale distributor. And I will tell you probably an estimate of what I'll get for it. So look for lots. Number one, let me back up. 1/6 scale loose distributors, if you're looking for a lot of different things, it's often economical to go through them versus eBay. If you do need to go to eBay, really start looking for lots. You know, lots of bodies, a lot of bodies, a lot of hands, a lot of boots, a lot of shoes, a lot of weapons, whatever it is that you need. Look for lots. Sometimes you have to fiddle around with the search parameter to find what you're looking for. If I can score with a lot of head sculpts, and the heads are pretty good, you know, now that I've been spoiled with heads that look really darn good, it is hard to settle for a dragon head or a Dragon and Dream has. Damn Toys has some really good head sculpts, and other brands have some pretty darn good head sculpts, but you have to keep looking for them. So lots, definitely remember lots, and 1/6 scale loose distributors in the United States. So we'll be back. I'll show you a box of things I'm going to barter for. We'll be right back. We are back, and I wanted to show you what I'm going to barter. And my guess is, even though it won't look like a ton of stuff, I'll probably get about $250 to $350 in terms of bartering for it if I go through one place. If I go through some other places, I might get less. But it depends on who wants what type of thing too. So I have a checkered scarf. So that's one thing. I also have some resin heads, just miscellaneous heads. You may want that. There's also this cape, like a rain cape that I think it's Russian in origin. It's just kind of like a poncho. It goes over and protects you. So that's in there. The scarf, like it said. I have a suit. So jacket. I can't see it with my black here. But this pants, and then this jacket is basically a long coat type of thing, right? So I have this. I have a German uniform. Some bread containers, 2 of them for German. So yeah, one side here, one side here, that they would carry on their belt. I have a white tank top. I have socks. I won't open that up. It's just one pair of black socks. And then there are 2 additional pairs of the same type of black socks in here. I've got some top hats. same style, top hats. So that goes in here. I've got 2 basically skull caps, wool hats, 2 of those. I've got a ton of these things, so I'm just getting rid of 2 of them. I've got a British jacket. I've got some things from Valkyrie, the Thunder version of Valkyrie, the Thunderbolt from Zeus. It's better if it's against the black, right? And then some energy attachments that can go on the hand, each hand. So I have that. I have from Valkyrie as well. I've got this upper part of the outfit. And it's amazing what people will buy. The lower part of the outfit and the thing that goes around the neck. This kind of goes over the neck piece and lays on the upper part of the body. I've got the skull mask that comes with Valkyrie. Yeah, I think this is like a smoke bomb that comes with it. So those are some things from that. I wanted to use Valkyrie for something else, the figure. So I think I can part with that. I've got the stand, an extra stand to death loop that I don't need. These take up a lot of footprint space. Can't afford the footprint space. So extra one there. Valkyrie, since I was going to make something else out of the Valkyrie figure. I have like a Russian helmet with a little liner. I also have something that can go, the webbing that can go over a different helmet. And like a bayonet holder and a magazine holder with a magazine and some straps that can hold pants up and that sort of thing. Have those things. Just trying to go through this very quickly. I have another Logan Wolverine belt. I've got another white tank top shirt, black shirt, jeans. I have the basically the arms for the Wolverine that comes with the claws. These are one piece. So it's the hand, it's all one piece, and the lower arm with the claws, the bone claws attached. Have that. And I have another Logan head. I was able to get a couple of these. One we're giving away as a custom. The head of the Wolverine. I've got another pair of clawed arm pieces, all one piece, that I can give away. I've got a couple of vests from Battle Gear Toys. They're paisley. Really high quality vests. I've got a head sculpt. That's another resin piece that I wasn't too happy with, if you remember. This has an attachment for the hair. And maybe the person can use it who I'm thinking of sending it to. Maybe they won't want it. It's not anything I will keep. Chances are it'll be one of those things I just throw in there. Let them decide what to do with it. Sometimes I do that. If I just don't want anything, I see no need for it, off it goes. Machete. And then this awesome weapon. It is really big and it is cool looking from my perspective. but I don't really see using it. A bunch of hands. There are gloved hands, some black, some brown, and some plain hands. Just extra hands I don't need. I already showed you the Logan stuff, the vest. Now I work myself over to a jacket. I'm still not sure whether I'll give this away. I might dress somebody with jeans with it. Who knows? Head sculpt, female. This is like a Captain America older head sculpt. This is like a Spartacus head sculpt necklace. This is a female head sculpt without hair. There are wigs that you can get that would fit on this. Brad Pitt, I had a ton of these things lying around. Got it in a lot for a great price years ago. Anyway, so I have a couple of these that I can barter away. I've got an older head sculpt, but it's probably a Dragon in Dreams head sculpt is my guess. This is probably a Damn Toys head sculpt. It's gonna be my guess. And I think that's about it. But my guesstimate, based on if I do go with somebody I get my money's worth from in terms of bartering, it'll probably be between $250 and $300 to $350 bartering. If I wanted cash, less. But since I love to customize, it breathes life into me, I will barter these things away. I may have other head sculpts. I might want to get rid of other weapons. I haven't gone through everything quite yet, but these are some of the things that I'm thinking of definitely bartering away. And that's another thing you can do if you decide to go down the customing road, because periodically you will fall out of love with something that you've made, and with a 1/6 scale loose distributor in the United States that you establish a working relationship with, like Monkey Depot, Black Up Toys, Rattlesnake Toys, Toy Anxiety, Zircos Attic, you can perhaps start bartering with them if you can establish that kind of a relationship. So anyway, there we go. So earlier I said buy in lots, if possible, buy in quantity from these 1/6 scale loose distributors. But if you can barter, you don't need stuff, they want it, and you can get other neat stuff from them as a trade, it's really win-win. They don't pay any taxes because they're bartering. You know, in some of the places that I barter with, they'll actually pay for my shipping and handling. It's really amazing, actually. It's kind of like a win-win situation. You know, if I get like $200 in credit, maybe I'll go hunt $210. You know, so I get a whole ton of stuff, and I only pay $10. So I'm a happy camper. Anyway, just another idea if you're a customizer. So the exact same container I showed you a second ago has hands, it has feet, it has neck pieces, it even has thighs. And I will show you what thigh pieces can do to a body if you want to make the legs broader. I'll show you what it looks like. But there's another way to make things look broader from the torso on down too. So, but in this one, I have things like, let's see, what's in here? So these are like rope, tons of watches, straps, that sort of thing. And here I have gloves, I have gas masks, canteens. Here I have lots of weapons, drop-down holsters, handguns. Over here are more weapons and rifles, shotguns, sort of thing. This one is is this one. This one is pouches, everything pouches related. This one is pieces of leather. You don't know when leather might come handy. This is twine. Don't know when that'll come handy. This is just material useful for making bedrolls and that sort of thing, or sandbags. But these are ready-made sandbags. In some of these small boxes, I have like necklace, really fine necklace pieces, and all sorts of things like lighters and cigarettes and rings and all sorts of just metal pieces. Other places I have hot glue, I have wire, I've got metal gear pieces that are steampunk-like and so forth. I've got just tons of miscellaneous things. I just don't know what they'll come in handy for. I have also here, I have this elastic, and you don't know when this will come in handy for like a strap to a rifle, assault weapon, that sort of thing. This is a piece of wood, I guess. So you know, it's just these pieces in here are supplies, and I just don't know when they'll come in handy. And sometimes I start thinking, well, maybe I can make this. Do I have things that I can use to make this, whatever this is? And so this is my go-to box in terms of this. There are also some unique things in here, like this hat that looks kind of unique. You wouldn't normally see it. There's like a half helmet in here, like a motorcycle helmet. And other pieces that are unique. I just get everything out. Sunglasses, you know, stuff like that. You just don't know when you're going to use it. So the first container I showed you had body parts. This one has accessories. And I'll show you one more container that has clothing. So we'll be right back. Staying organized is half the battle, and having bought things over the years and in lots really made a difference when things were a lot cheaper. So a lot of times I don't have to go out and buy things. These are a bunch of hats. This is female boots or footwear, male footwear, boots primarily, military. This is like hiking boots, tennis shoes for males. This is like dress boots and shoes for males. Shirts, you might be able to, with different colored sleeves. Underwear, white shirts, black shirts, on and on the list goes there. I won't go through that whole section. It's just a ton of things. This is just extra body clothing. More hats. These are green pants, military pants, scarves, coats, jackets, more pants, non-military pants, on and on the list goes. Just a ton of things in there. And on this side, this is mostly my clothing section. Some additional bodies, female bodies. So one more box to show you. We'll be right back. So here's my final box where I keep mostly clothing pieces and accessories, but this is like suits, male suits, to include belts and pants and jackets and neckties and some dress shoes. So that's one thing. These are female shirts and or jackets. These are male shirts, a ton of them. These are female pants. These are male pants. These are male jackets and coats, more clothing, on and on. This is more military clothing. Oh my gosh. Just, again, tons of stuff. Cotton, pieces of felt. This is like a backpack set. Some Roman armor stuff, just miscellaneous things. This is weapons. So, and usually what I try to do with these weapons is I try to weather them. So this one's quite nicely weathered. And then remember that strap I showed you from the other box? It's elastic. I used it as a strap here. So again, you just never know when things will come in handy. This is kind of like my potpourri thing. I've got things in here like a sheath and a sword. I've got all sorts of weird stuff. Swords, rope, leather pieces, holsters, like Western holsters. Things that I think I could use for making steampunk things. Guns, miscellaneous guns, straps, on and on the list goes. There's even unusual things like, this was actually a bookmark I got at a fancy dinner, and I kept it because I don't know, maybe I can use it. So things that you don't think you could use, I mean, this would go well maybe on a steampunk figure. So this is like potpourri right in here. So that gives you a sense as to, if you start collecting things, especially in lots, things that are going for really cheap, a ton of things cheap. It's getting harder to find those deals, but sometimes you can still find them, and you just don't know what you're going to use it for, and that's half the fun. You don't know. So anyway, we'll pause and get set up for the next piece. We are back, and I'm going to put a couple figures for you together, show you some tools that are really helpful to have at times. This is if you have a shirt, and neither of these shirts are like this, but if you have a shirt that has buttonholes and buttons, you go through the buttonhole, grab the button on the other side, and pull the button through the buttonhole. That's how you button it up. Otherwise, you're messing with it and trying to get it through with your fingers. It becomes a pain. This thing goes a long way with cutting that tedious task down. But now that they're moving more to Velcro and or a combination of snaps and Velcro, I prefer Velcro actually. Happy with that. So let me put a figure together for you, a couple figures, so you know kind of what I do. So this one does not have foot pegs. I'm going to be using molded boots with the pegs in them. All right, so this is one of those universal bodies, and I'm using that because I have a necklace head, and I don't want one of the more muscular bodies because the clothing would be too tight if it even fits at all. So usually I start with the shirt, put the arms in the back, or I put the arms up, but often I will put them in the back. This is a Velcro shirt, so one arm will go through this one and so forth, and I just pull it through. This happens to come with pegs, So I don't have to worry about that part. Ta-da! There he is with that shirt on. So now what I tend to do is if I don't do this, sometimes the sleeves, when I put the jacket on, the sleeves will go up the arm and it's really hard to get the sleeves out. You know, a little tip showing at the end. So what I tend to do is I take some packing tape and if I can just get a slice of it, I will go beyond the wrist peg and just tape this thing tightly, as tight as I can get it, shut beyond the wrist peg. So it won't move up the arm when you put the jacket on. And that's what I want. I don't want it to move up the arm. Again, I'm trying to go past the wrist peg, trying to do this as tight as I possibly can. All right. Then I put the arms behind him. Yeah. Slip the coat over the sleeves. And then I bring this back as far as I possibly can. And see, notice there's the sleeve. I don't have to, you know, I used to take like a needle nose pliers, try to go in and grab the end of the white shirt and pull it through. This is easier. Just do it this way. And then the tape just comes off. Boom. There it is. Right there. The hardest part is just getting it off. And that's not even all that hard. Here we go. Necktie. So it comes with, this one comes with elastic, which is kind of cool. So that's going to go on before the head. Just put the collar up, slip it over. There we go. Now sometimes when you get the shirt on and the necktie, sometimes you see the back of the necktie, that piece there, it's like it's not nicely lined up. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll take double-sided tape and cut it so it's thin, and then put the big piece over it. These little tricks that you have to go for. Yeah, and if this doesn't stay centered, then I'll put a piece of tape underneath this and put it where it needs to go. So it's definitely one way to do it. You may have better ideas. Never put pants on over feet if you can help it, or shoes. Don't put the head on, make that the last thing that you do. One of the things I'll do to get the shirt in is either use my finger and push it in nicely, or take a flathead screwdriver and just drive it down. It's a very nice, easy way to do it. And then the belt, that's the hard part, threading it. You have to pull the little piece that goes into the hole of the belt. Pull that down. And you'll have to forgive me, I had cataract surgery just recently in my right eye, and my depth perception is really challenged right now. And then sometimes you can't get it through the belt loop. You know, this is very flimsy. So sometimes I'll get it situated, then I'll take the flathead screwdriver and just push it through. Again, my eyes aren't working quite right. There it is. There we go. These, as I said before, are molded shoes, so they have the pegs. The pegs can fit. Instead of using feet and putting a shoe over it, you just use the shoe as the foot. So let's put that on. And put this one on. Hopefully it stays on. Seems to be doing okay. We're getting there. The hands. Now, I have found that hands sometimes have challenges going on. If that happens, put this in hot water. It will slip on very easily. Hopefully I can get these in. Okay, it works. All right. If I want to, since the white part of the shirt has backed in, just a touch, not bad. It's not like I have to go digging up the whole arm to get it. I can pull the sleeve out a bit. So we're almost there. So the head, this one already has the thing on the inside, so you just kind of get it on there as best as you can. There we go. Now, the one thing I noticed, which you might not be able to tell, is that his hands look a little bit larger than they should be. And so I will go to my hand box and I will try to find hands that are smaller, if there is such a thing. I think I've identified. Now, these look smaller. See, it is smaller. But the color is a little off. So I have these hands. See, smaller. Color's better. So what I would probably do is change out these hands for these hands. Now I'm going to have trouble with these two relaxed hands though, because you won't be able to hold the stick. But I might put some hot glue in the hand, or have him actually hold the stick with both hands, counterweight. So here he is. The tie is good. If I needed another piece to keep it attached to the shirt in a straight line, I could do that, but it looks good now. His belt is perfectly, you can't see it, but it's on fine. Use the straight-edged screwdriver to push it through the last loop. That worked out great. Then I'm using counterweight for him to hold the cane. I've got him in a pose that works for me. But if you notice, these hands, I should say, are a better fit for this head. So it's nice to have a variety of hands to choose from. This head will not look good with these hands if they're close to the face. The only other thing you can do is put the hands down lower and maybe twist them at an angle so the size is not so evident and competes with the proportion of the face. I forgot to mention one other thing that isn't a problem with this figure, but sometimes the clothing, the body, is the shoulders are too far down. Sometimes you can get a munchkin look, sometimes you can get the neck way too long. Sometimes what I do with the neck way too long is I'll put a little cotton under the jacket. I don't need it here. But on the off chance that the neck is way too long, bring the shoulders up a bit. If the neck is not long enough, try to put a little cotton in between the head and the neck and use a little putty to hold it in place so you elongate the neck a bit more. We'll go on to the last figure, the male figure, and show you how to put that one together. We'll be right back. So this one I'm going to use a more muscular body because that's going to fit with the character that I'm going to use. Now I could do one of two things. I do want to make the legs a bit thicker, so I could use thigh enhancers. Haven't told you about those yet. But basically you just wrap these around the leg and it will make his leg a bit thicker. Now you could do that, or in this particular case, I have a body padding system made out of material that I can put on this guy. Make sure the knees are in the right place. Corresponding to the outfit so you have as much posability as possible. As typical, I don't put the head on first. This is kind of a rackety sound because it's a tighter body. I just happen to have the shirt and jacket together with the sleeves showing, so no big deal. I can just put them on this way. I don't have to put tape on it. That's a nice thing. And it is a couple snaps at the top. And you'll have to forgive me again, the depth perception isn't all that great. I apologize that took so long, but I had surgery on one eye, so the lens is out. I can see far away but not close up with this eye. And it doesn't matter if I have my glasses on or off, the depth perception is messed up. So once I have the other eye done, then hopefully I will be back on track. But here he is. I finally found the snaps. And you can almost guess what's going to happen next, right? We're going to get some pants on first, though. But I hope you can see that there's more robustness around the thighs because of the padding. So with the shirt, it's Velcro. It's 2 snaps and Velcro towards the bottom. So I'm just making sure it's lining up, and this one I'll use my fingers with kind of getting it in between the pants, and then finish it up with the flathead screwdriver. Get the other side, get that shirt pressed in the back and around the sides. All right, the belt's not perfect in terms of it fitting into the peg hole, because the peg hole somehow got broken. But if I were to keep this particular belt, this is going to be a giveaway gift prize, but I have an extra belt I'll use, so it'll be in perfect shape. But if I were to keep this belt for myself on this figure, I just use a little hot glue to put that together. Let me get the boots on. And just remembering, this is a molded boot. Sometimes the pegs start out in the boot, sometimes it starts out in the leg. As long as you get it in there, you're good to go. Now getting his claws on. And this is where you have to Make sure you stay careful, because if you mess around too much with the claws itself, you might actually break a claw. You don't want to do that. Other one, bring the sleeves down past the wrist pegs so you get a better look at what you're attaching. Get a better grip on everything. Try not to push on the claw itself. All right. So this is an unbranded head, so is the other one. But I've asked people, because it's going to be a giveaway gift prize, I've asked people who are going to enter this giveaway gift prize which head they prefer in the next week. And that'll be the head that comes. The other one I'll barter away. This is an unbranded head, and maybe that's not the head that you like. So I've asked people for this giveaway gift process in the next week to let me know which head would be preferred. This one is more of an open mouth Hugh Jackman. So there you go. It doesn't matter which one you guys prefer. It's up to you guys. So which one works? That's the big question. So those are two figures we put together from beginning to end. This is unbranded. Both heads are unbranded. But if you wanted to slip, and the clothing is unbranded, but it's darn close to Hot Toys, the Hot Toys lip. But if you wanted to slip a Hot Toys head on there, you could do that. Last but not least are the females. Now, there is one body that is hard to find that you can still get, but it doesn't make any sense to get it, which would be a dragon body. Remember, those are really old bodies. They come with short neck pieces, so they're only designed for heads with necks. But the problem is no one is making or creating heads with necks for females. They're all neckless. So this is just a nondescript, bangs, medium-haired, medium length, brown-haired female head sculpt. No neck, obviously, no neck. This one is like Taylor Swift, long hair, no neck. And then Wonder Woman gal, no neck. So the only bodies you can get, unless you really wanted to go after dragon body, which you wouldn't want to do because the head sculpts that are out there are not very good. They're old dragon head sculpts. You probably wouldn't want that for any reason. Are TB leak bodies. They come in different breast sizes, small, medium, large, and different color combinations. And some are very musculature, very muscle bound, have heavy musculature. So if you want the midsection to show and you wanted a seamless body because you wanted a tank top on it or a short sleeve shirt, TB leak. It comes in a darker shade and an even darker African American shade. So different shades, different breast sizes, small, medium, large, and not really different heights. They're all about the same. But musculature, that's going to be a bit different. The other bodies that are out there are kind of like articulated with seams. It's not seamless. I mean, the joints are very visible here in the arms and knees. But the midsection is going to be silicone. So as long as you're hiding the skin, you got long sleeve shirts, so forth. This is going to be the one. because it's more economically priced. I already have high heel shoes on her. Okay, so let's put something together. I'm going to use not the TB League bodies, but I'm going to use a more economically priced body. It's this one. So it has the visible joints in the arms and in the knees, the elbows and the knees. So I'm going to put a skirt on her. She already has her boots on. Okay. There she is with the skirt on. I'm going to put a black shirt on her. Put the arms in the back, or I put them up above her head. It just depends. In the back and at the top of the head are the best ways to put on shirts. So, and she has open hands, so nothing's going to catch on the sleeves. The sleeves are pretty wide, so we're going to be good to go. I put the head on last because sometimes you can't get the collar over the head sculpt. It's too big. The head sculpt is too big. So there we go. We've got the shirt on. Let's bring the arm down. So far. Let me get a coat on her. And this is where you could put the arms in the back again and do it, but the coat's big enough where I didn't have to do that. Okay, so far, looking good. She already has this little piece adapter that goes into the head. This is on there to stabilize the head. We can bring her hands out a bit more if we want to have her hands show. Sometimes when you have long sleeves, I kind of flip the hands up a bit so that the hands are showing. Sometimes you have to roll the sleeve up. It just depends. All right, last but not least, this is a head that I put together. I actually braided the hair, just a strip of the hair for the back, the front and back. I want to make sure there's no hair in the way. The nice thing about females is generally they're made to be rooted hair. Very rare for males to have rooted hair. It's usually molded. But I want to get all the hair out of the way so I can slip this on. Now the one other thing I want to do with her is I want her neck to show. So I'm going to take a little piece and all with the little hook on it and just kind of grab the shirt, kind of drag it down a little bit. Because she'll look better with the hair or the neck showing. See? If I can get it down just a touch more, I'll be happier. Let's kind of get this hand up here. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe have one hand down lower. One up. Or maybe both down. We'll get it right eventually. All right. So this is designed to be close to the character in the Hateful Dead. I think that's what it's called, with Kurt Russell. This is the female in it. Now her hair could be a touch browner, but I'm okay with this look. I did put a black eye on her, but it may be hard to see from here. But I'm going to do an episode on her, so we'll get some close-ups of her. So we are back, and one thing I wanted to do at the end of this entire episode was talk about accessories and do one more custom and kind of create on the fly what I want to create. So I have a steampunk collection. When I think of steampunk, I think of unique, odd, I think of steam engines, I think of gears, I think of Victorian times and so forth. And so this pirate coat was perfect for this figure because it still had that kind of maybe Victorian look. Now the thing with this pirate coat though is it had very wide sleeves, and I didn't want to leave it that way. I also wanted to bring things down for continuity's sake, so I cut off the sleeves, big pieces at the end, and I made gaiters out of them. So this is the same material as up here. So there's continuity from here on down. Another thing I did is with the vest. The vest had two flaps coming down from each side. Move it over here. Each side of the vest. It came down to about, I don't know, about here. And what I ended up doing is taking that piece and sewing it on the sides of the pants. So I've got the blue coming down. So the brown coming down to here, and the same material, the blue coming down to the sides of the pants. So it's just something to give it more of an avant-garde kind of look, unique look. And that's some of the stuff that you can do with accessories. When you see one piece, maybe think of two pieces or three pieces. Maybe you can adjust it in such a way that it isn't just a vest, it's something else in addition to a vest. Or it's not just a coat or a jacket, it's something else in addition to a jacket. Like in that case, it was a jacket and gaiters, and it was a vest and like side pockets. So I took off all the accessories on this figure, put them over here. I had another character that was steampunk-like, used the head for something else, took all the accessories off of her. It's over here now. And I had some accessories that I hadn't used for anything else, but I thought could be good for steampunk. And I still have a whole sack of odds and ends that could still be used in unique ways for a nice steampunk look. I should say with this character, the one thing I did when I did take off the sleeves is I just didn't want this to be left hanging. So what I ended up doing is I had some bracers. I painted them black and I attached them to the bottom of the arm. But I put a watch on each one. Just again, because it was unique. And anything you can do that's just a touch crazy or unexpected, I think is a good thing. So anyway, do something outside of the box. So let's see what happens. First of all, though, I'm going to use a certain set of clothing. Maybe I'll change some things up. Maybe I won't. We'll figure it out. But this is the body I'm going to use. So this is the one with the separated, has a little more separation in the shoulders, the hinges you can see in the elbows, you can see the joints in the knees and so forth. So this is not something where you want a lot of skin showing. And so it's very acceptable for my purposes because I'm going to have them fully clothed. So none of this is going to be showing. So this is a body I could use for this. If I was going to have more skin showing, I would want to use a TB League body that's seamless, silicone and seamless. I don't need that because this is going to be fully clothed. So this is perfectly acceptable. I'm going to start dressing him He does have a loose arm here, but that's okay. I'm going to start dressing him because I know the basics, at least in terms of the clothing that I want. So I want these pants on. And I'm going to have a little tougher time getting this shirt on. So I'm going to start with the arms up. I'm going to put the shirt on this way because it's a wider body, so I'm going to have to take my time when I put this thing on. First I'm going to get it around the arms. I don't want the head sculpt on because getting the thing over the head in addition to the arms can sometimes be a lot more trickier. So let's just start here with the arms. And what's going to be the challenging part is getting the shirt over the basically his shoulders. So I'm just going to start one side and then just kind of keep pulling down on the other side, and little by little, hopefully this thing will eventually pop on. I won't rip anything, hopefully. Over at this side. Just keep tension on it. And hopefully, again, hopefully, I'm hoping nothing rips. So I'm going to get to a point where I can actually turn the arm and get it over. So, victory, yes. Got it on. Sometimes you have to feel around to make sure that you put the arms back the right way. There we go. Now, I need to slip the shirt in, which isn't too hard. Especially if you have a flathead screwdriver in the back. I'm going to slip the shirt in on the sides, slip it in, and hopefully eventually have it all smoothed out nicely. And then the suspenders are going to go up. All right. Good. All right. So far, so good. Now, I'm thinking a gray vest. So this is fairly easy to get on because it's a vest. So gray vest. Oh, that snap came out. Let me put it back in. Now the vest has snaps. So, and they're big so I can see them pretty good. All right, good. So far so good. Now, I'm going to have to pause and get some packing tape because I need to tighten these sleeves up so I can get the coat on nicely. As I'm looking at the coat, though, I may not need it because the sleeves are pretty wide. So let me try it. We'll see if it works. Try to get the sleeves on. Sometimes you can avoid having the sleeves bunch up. It just depends. Haha, it did it in this case. On one arm anyway. Oh, good. Look at that. It did it on, again, it was just a guess. I looked at the length or the width of the sleeve and I thought, well, it probably will go on. And it did. All right. So good. Since on the other male I have boots on, I don't think I'll replicate boots on this guy. I think I'll use shoes. He's got pegs in his feet. and these are molded shoes. So unlike shoes that have to go over feet that are already on the body, you can just put hopefully the peg into the shoe if it's the right size. That's a challenge. Sometimes it isn't the right size. And this is feeling like it's not the right size. Since I'm not really giving this thing away, one of the things I do is I put something around the peg to make it a little bit bigger so it's a snugger fit in there. And oftentimes it's just a little hot glue I let dry on the peg ball itself, and then it'll go a bit nicer into that opening there. So let me pause, let me get some hot glue, and we'll see if we can make that work. So we'll be right back. So we are back. I put the tie on. The back of the tie I attached to the front of the tie with double-sided tape. And then the back of the tie, both ends of the tie, on the absolute back of the tie, I put double-sided tape on to attach to the shirt so it would be a nice fit under the vest. And it's doing well. Now the sleeves, the white sleeves are showing too much, but we'll make that adjustment down the road. The other adjustment I'm going to make here is I'm never going to button the coat up. If I do, then the accessories are not going to show on this thing. And this is designed to button up, and it has snaps on it. I don't want the snaps to show, so I'll be taking the snaps off with an X-Acto knife, and it's just very easy to do. So let's pause, not waste your time. I'll take them off, and we'll be right back. We are back, and I kept the snaps that I had taken off from the coat. I put them together. I'll keep them in some sort of box. You never know when those are going to come in handy. So now my next decision is, what hands should I use? I'm thinking about using trigger finger hands. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use, in the end, ungloved hands or gloved hands, trigger finger or relax or what have you. But for now, I'm going to put trigger finger hands, ungloved ones, on. And the best way to do this is with hot water. So I'm just going to slip them in here, give it a couple seconds. If you do this in a microwave, it shouldn't take long. So we'll pull one out. And let's put him on the side here. And put it on. This is a tight fit. Good thing I used hot water. All right. So that hand is on. I'm going to have to adjust the sleeve in a bit, but let me get the other hand on first. Usually what I do is I push the sleeve back until the wrist peg is showing fully. And that usually is the best. That went on a lot easier. Okay. I probably didn't pull the sleeves back far enough. All right. So he's got his hands on. He's got his clothes on. He's got his feet on. Everything's there. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fidget with the sleeves a bit more so I don't have so much sleeve showing. So normally I don't put the head on till the last, but I just wanted you to see this figure with just the clothes on and the head. So it doesn't have one of these things in here already. So, and it normally is easier to put this on first, then put the head on. So we'll just do it that way. Oh my gosh. And I just love this head sculpt. I think he speaks Victorian to me and equally steampunk. Perfect. So now it's a matter of accessorizing him. A couple main things are hats, if you want hats, and weapons. What do you want to use in terms of weapons? So I have a Victorian looking, like with goggles, this hat, which would look, it's actually too big, isn't it? So I would have to find a smaller one or pat it a little bit. I do like the Victorian hat. I also have a cowboy hat with goggles. I think I like the Victorian better. Now the question would be is, what goggles would I use? Because it would be disappointing not to have goggles for steampunk. So it depends on what I put on him. If I put mostly silver on him, then obviously I'm going to go with these goggles. If I can find a way to put a little of this brown on him, or browns, then I'll probably go with this one. We are back, and now it's the weapons that are the big decision to make. I kind of have here, I don't kind of have here, I have here dueling pistols. They're very cool looking. I just like them. They're very sleek. And if I use these, then I would be tempted to use the silver goggles. It just would make a lot of sense to do that, because they would go together. Matching. I have some resin guns, steampunk guns that my husband made. And what I did is I had two matching metal buttons that kind of look like drum, what do you call it? Drum magazine drums. Yeah. Magazine drums. So just something you wouldn't expect seeing. Decided to put it on here. And again, if I chose that, it'd make the case to use the silver looking goggles. I do have these guns. My husband made these. On one of them, I painted it's like a 2-barrel shotgun. So what's that called that makes the switch back from one to the other?
Oh, that doesn't work on that gun. That's a double trigger.
Yeah, but the what's that piece called? A barrel release. So I painted that in copper, and then the triggers on each side copper. And what I used is the upper part of a boot to create a holster. So just, sometimes I change boots into shoes and cut them where the boot part starts. In this case, I took the upper part of that long piece that had basically buckles on it. And so if you look at it, you might be able to see the buckles, but if we choose this as a gun, you'll see it in a close-up. And then I put a compass on it. So it's got the holster, which could be adhered to a belt, just like this. Or I could take a belt that I made a holster for too, and put it on the inside of that. It just looks a little more sleeker. Like it's all one holster. It's just cool looking, I think. And then the belt itself has a watch on it. Again, something that you're not expecting, but it's cool to see. I think anyway. So if I went with something like this, and this is brown, then that might make a case to keep this set of goggles. If I went with this holster system with a knife and wraparounds on the legs, that again, this is brown, so keeping the brown goggles might work. This could go over the chest, which has some, it's just a belt that carries ammo. I could attach a compass to this too. I don't know if you can see that. Which can open. Sorry, my eyes are a little, again, I'm still struggling. Actually, I don't know if this does open or not. Maybe it doesn't. Oh, yes, it does. So it could open. I could attach that somehow to this ammo belt, give it another oddity in terms of look. Endless what I can do. I have this pouch, which is it's a Japanese pouch, but what I did is I covered the Japanese symbol with a copper finished paper fastener, very miniature one. I just poked it in and took the metal pieces and straightened them out, and that holds itself in place, and you can't tell it's a Japanese pouch. But it's cool looking. Has a nice weathered look. So again, if I go with browns, probably keep the brown goggles. And maybe want to add something of this tone in somewhere else too. So lots of decisions, lots of choices. This thing too, I think is, well, let me back up. Here's a watch, a pocket watch. This is silver. And if I go with this, again, I'd be tempted to go with silver goggles. Might have to find a black holster or something like that. The other thing I have is this. I don't think I want him to wear it, but it is cool looking. I might have him maybe hanging from a belt. I don't know, holding it in his hand. I have no idea. I've had this around for some time now. I just thought it was just the coolest looking thing. It would be great for steampunk. You know, this is what they would wear on their face. Anyway, but I don't want to cover his face. So I guess it's up to me to figure out what to do with this guy now. So this is what I ended up with. I was thinking about adding a binocular or a telescope to this particular character, but I found this cane. I thought it would look cool. He would look cool with a cane. So let's put that in here. Well, actually, before I put it in here, decided to go with a mask in his one hand, went with the gun with the compass on it, and the belt with the watch on it. I thought that was unique. And then this what looks like a worn leather pouch, which is really plastic. They just did a great job weathering it. Put the little brown piece over the Japanese mark. Went with the overly large hat, put some cotton in there so it would not fall over his face, because the other hat was too long, it almost looked like Abraham Lincoln. So decided to go with the silver goggles, even though I had brown in here, because this is silver, this mask. This cane has some silver elements in it, and the watch has some silver elements in it. So decided to go with the silver goggles. I was kind of surprised I did that, but I think that's a better touch. And again, cotton to lift the hat up so it doesn't fall over the face, and this cane. So we would just put it in here, and it'll just be held very nicely. So we were going to show some close-ups from the bottom of the stand all the way up to the top of the head, but we're going to make this an entire episode and re-show our steampunk collection as it stands now. So I've reduced it from 6 to 4 characters 4 1/6 scale human characters, there'll be a 5th mechanical character in the middle, and then some other, how can I say, props attached to the steampunk collection. So it's been downsized. And I hope to do that with some of my other collections that are more than 5 characters. So anyway, this was a process. I hope you've enjoyed the journey. If you have, and you've learned some things along the way, consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. In the meantime, everyone, please have a great day.